In this video, I'm going to explain how to directly export the skeleton from Vicon Blade and attach it to our 3D character in MotionBuilder. Let's start by go ahead and opening up our Blade data file. For our example, I've already cleaned the data and I am at the solved motion, so that is what represents us with this skeleton. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit and we can see how this animation looks. We want to try and do as much cleanup in the Blade software as possible so that we have the cleanest data when we're actually bringing it into MotionBuilder. So with everything looking good here, we're going to simply select the parent group of solving bone, which is going to select everything in our hierarchy. If we expand this, you'll see that everything has actually been selected. You could do the same thing by selecting the first, holding shift and selecting the last, and it will select that parent group as well. But it's a little bit easier to just select the solving bone. Click the main button, click export. We'll save it to our desktop. And we'll save it as an FBX file, though there is many different versions that you could save it as. And what's important is we have the box selected modules only selected, our rate of current, so that way it represents that the current frame rate is going to be processed. And then if we hit options, it's very important to collapse hierarchies into character labels, which this is deselected by default. So by selecting that, pressing OK and exporting, we have our file saved off in our desktop. So here's my 3D file, and currently there's no animation or takes attached to it, and we're going to go ahead and merge our file into the scene. So let me go ahead and do that. And we can see right off the bat that the skeleton has loaded on almost in the same spot. We can play that animation and it's all looking good. If we left that first option, collapsing hierarchies into character labels turned off, we would have had a root node on top of hips and the entire skeleton would have been actually invisible. So this is more beneficial for us to have clean, consistent data. Next, what we're going to do is characterize our 3D geometry and then characterize the hips as well. To have it properly characterized, we need our bones from our hips, from our motion capture data, in a perfect T-pose to match the orientation of our 3D character. Let's go ahead and select hips, right-click and select branches to select every bone in the hierarchy. Go over to properties, go over to rotation, type 0 for all 3 values. This puts us in the perfect zeroed out value that Blade would have created had there not been any data. And we need to rotate the hips up. So let's go ahead and select just the hips, change to our rotation tool, and give it a value to see where the direction is going to be. In this case, it's going to go negative, so let's type in -90. If you want to, you can set these first and last values to 0 to set the bones on top of our character as well, making it a little bit cleaner. But after we move the slider, this is going to actually snap back to the original position. Let's go to our asset browser. We're going to expand templates and characters. And we're going to be dragging this character over to our hips, which is the Blade data file. Go ahead and hit characterize for a biped. And if we expand characters to the left, let's go ahead and rename character to mocap data. Now since we used a Mixamo rig, it already had a namespace in front of it titled Mixamo rig. The two names are very similar. Since we're importing the Blade file directly, we would normally want to add a namespace if this wasn't already the case. Let's go ahead and drag another character, and this time we'll be putting it over our Mixamo rig's hips. Same thing, we're going to characterize it. And this is already set up as character, but if you had a particular name for your geometry, it'd be a good idea to go ahead and rename that. With our character selected, if we go up to the character controls in the top right of our screen, we can see that the character, being the selected attribute, has no source being provided. So at this point, if we were to scrub our animation, it is still not being driven. We can change that to the mocap data, which is a new character here, and our geometry is going to be retargeted to fit that motion capture animation. And you can see the spacing as well as the rotations of the arms and joints are all aligning properly. If we had simply selected the elbow joint and the geometry joint for our character and rotated them both on, for instance, the x-axis, they would have actually gone in different directions. So retargeting through this method of having a character drive a different character with the source being changed allows us to have that perfect translation of our rotational values. Lastly, to be able to edit this data, we want to go up here to the character controls, go down to bake, and bake it to our control rig. Choosing FKIK gives us a little bit more controls, and you'll see that the source has been changed over to control rig. To make things a little bit easier, I'm going to select the blade's hip files and simply uncheck visibility. Now from here, I can select any IK, which would be the ball joints, or a FK joint if I select the internals, and add an animation layer and start to modify the keys. You'll notice that as I have these selected and I'm on the base animation, it still says too many keys to edit, because it's taken every single key that the mocap data has had and baked it down. Going up one animation layer will allow us to make modifications without destroying the data underlying. We can disable and enable it so we can see our effect. With this method, we're able to export out the FBX data and get it attached to our character in a very easy method. From here forward, we can simply motion file import any direct FBX files that we have all at once and be able to rename them to suit our needs. By leaving the option of merge selected, it's going to be looking for specifically hips in our scene, and we'll be able to cycle between different takes.